Imagine working the graveyard shift alone, surrounded by silence so thick it feels like a trap. One night at a rundown 24-hour gas station, something unthinkable happened. A desperate scream shattered the stillness, a shadow moved where no one should be, and a secret from the past clawed its way back to life. The air grew colder, fear tightening its grip with every passing second. What really lurks behind the flickering lights and locked doors? Tonight you're about to find out. Before we dive in, don't forget to follow and support this channel for more chilling true stories that haunt the darkest hours. Now, let's step inside and witness the last shift, if you dare. Ethan Cole wasn't afraid of the dark. He'd grown up in the kind of town where the only nightlife was a flickering street lamp and the soft hum of bugs in the summer air. So when he took the graveyard shift at Miller's Gas and Go, it felt less like a job and more like quiet time to think. It was a little past 11 when he clocked in. The gas station sat alone off Route 19, surrounded by nothing but open field and cracked highway. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like lazy insects, and the hum of the drink cooler filled the silence inside. Gary, the owner, was behind the counter counting bills when Ethan stepped in. "You're early," Gary said, glancing up. His eyes looked heavier than usual, like he hadn't slept in days. Ethan shrugged. "Didn't have anything better to do." Gary didn't smile. He snapped the register shut and wiped his hands on his jeans. "Everything's in order. Coffee's fresh. Don't go outside unless you have to." Ethan paused. "Why?" Gary didn't answer right away. He reached under the counter and pulled out a set of keys. Then he looked at Ethan for a long second. "If someone's at pump 4, don't engage. Just let it be." Ethan gave a soft laugh. "Okay. Is that a local legend or something?" But Gary's expression didn't change. "You're a good kid. Just keep your head down. Lock the doors after midnight. And don't look too long at the cameras." With that, he walked out into the night, leaving Ethan standing behind the counter with the humming buzz of the lights, the smell of burnt coffee, and the sudden weight of unease. The first hour passed like usual. A pair of truckers came in for smokes. A teenager bought 2 energy drinks and said nothing. Around midnight, Sharon pulled up in her red Dodge. She was a regular, always came in for coffee and scratch-offs around this time. But tonight she looked off. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her hands trembled as she handed over a 5. "You okay?" Ethan asked, watching her struggle to punch in her numbers. She blinked at him, then shook her head like she'd been underwater. "Long day," she muttered. "Be careful tonight, Ethan." He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" But she didn't answer. She just grabbed her ticket and walked out the door. Ethan stood there for a moment, her words hanging in the stale air. "Be careful tonight." What the hell was that supposed to mean? He turned to the monitors. The camera feed was grainy, black and white, but each pump was visible. Except pump 4. That screen was static. Just static. He tapped the monitor. Nothing changed. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw movement outside the window. Someone was standing at pump 4. And they weren't moving. Ethan leaned forward, squinting through the glass. The man at pump 4 stood completely still under the humming overhead light. No car. No movement. Just a tall figure, back turned, arms loose at his sides. He glanced at the monitor again. Static. His hand hovered over the register, unsure. A part of him wanted to open the door, call out, maybe ask if the man needed help. But Gary's words crawled back into his mind like a splinter. "Don't engage. Just let it be." Ethan stayed behind the counter. Maybe the guy was just lost. Maybe he'd walked from the road, car broken down. Still, something about the way he stood there, it didn't feel right. The man didn't shift, didn't look over, didn't even seem to breathe. Ethan reached for the station's old intercom button. "Sir, do you need assistance?" His voice crackled through the outdoor speakers. "Nothing." The man didn't flinch. Ethan pressed the button again. "We're closed for outdoor service." If you need something, you'll have to come inside. Still nothing. The man didn't move. He didn't even turn his head. A subtle chill spread across Ethan's neck. He turned to the monitor again. The static wavered. Then for half a second, just half a second, the screen cleared. The man's face filled the monitor. Pale. Too pale. Eyes wide, unfocused, staring straight into the camera. His mouth hung slightly open like he'd forgotten how to close it. His shirt was stained. Torn in places. And for that moment, Ethan could swear he wasn't looking at the man was looking at him. Then, static again. Ethan's stomach twisted. He looked back out the window. But the man was gone. Pump 4 stood empty under the yellowish light, the pavement bare. Ethan stepped back from the glass, heart thudding in his chest. The automatic door clicked. His eyes snapped to the entrance. But no one was there. He stared at the door. Nothing moved. The air inside the station felt suddenly heavier, like someone had just exhaled warm breath across the back of his neck. He turned slowly. There, on the floor just behind the counter, was a crumpled receipt. Except it wasn't from the register. No time, no price, no items. Just 3 words printed in bold, blocky ink. Don't look back. Ethan stared at the crumpled receipt on the floor. Don't look back. His pulse throbbed in his neck. The message felt freshly printed. The ink hadn't even begun to fade. He crouched to pick it up, his fingers trembling, half expecting it to vanish the second he touched it. But it was real. Cheap thermal paper, warm from the printer. Except he hadn't printed anything. He scanned the register history. No recent receipts. No transactions in the last 15 minutes. The machine hadn't even been touched. The station was silent. The kind of silence that pressed in from all sides. No cars on the road. No wind. Even the buzzing lights above had quieted into a low hum, like they were listening. He checked the doors. Still locked. Then came the knock. Not at the front. Behind him. 3 soft knocks on the back door. Ethan froze. The back door was only for deliveries. Heavy metal. No windows. Locked from the inside. Another knock. Then a voice. Muffled male, just barely audible. Hey, you still in there? It didn't sound like Gary. Ethan edged toward the hallway that led to the back. The security feed for the rear door was still working. He flicked the monitor to camera 6. No one there. Another knock. Louder this time. Followed by a single word. Ethan. He nearly dropped the receipt. Whoever it was knew his name. He stepped back, heart hammering now, and his eyes caught something, just for a split second, in the reflection on the cooler glass across the room. A figure. Standing in the aisle between the snacks and the freezer. Tall. Still. Facing away. The reflection blinked out the second he looked directly. Nothing was there. But the chips on the shelf were still swaying slightly, as if someone had just walked by. Ethan backed toward the counter, trying not to turn too quickly, his breath shallow. He glanced at the monitor again. Camera 3, the snack aisle, glitched. A flash of static. Then it flickered on. The man from Pump 4 was inside the store. Standing in the middle of the aisle. Perfectly still. Ethan didn't hear the door open. Didn't see it swing. He moved without thinking, grabbed the baseball bat from under the counter, and aimed his eyes at the floor. He couldn't look at him. That's what Gary said? The cameras stuttered again. When Ethan dared to look up, the man was gone. But on the counter, right next to the register, lay another receipt. This one said, "You looked." Ethan's hands trembled as he reached for the second receipt. The paper was warm again, freshly printed, but the register hadn't made a sound. He flipped it over. Blank on the back. Just those 2 words on the front. "You looked." He swore under his breath, heart hammering against his ribs. He grabbed the bat tighter, backing away from the counter. The lights above flickered once, twice, then returned to their dim, yellow glow. A bottle clinked somewhere in the back aisle, like it had been nudged by a passing shoulder. But when he turned, no one was there. The gas station was empty. Again. Or so it seemed. He checked the clock. 2:37 a.m. Somehow, only 30 minutes had passed since he first saw the man at pump 4. It felt like hours. He switched the monitors again. The static on camera 4 had cleared. Pump 4 was now completely visible. Empty. The overhead light swung gently back and forth, though the air outside was dead still. Then, another sound. Click. 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 Not from outside. From inside. The sound of the freezer doors opening. Slowly. One by one. Ethan crept down the aisle, bat raised, careful not to make noise. He turned the corner by the drinks. One of the freezer doors hung open, its hinge twitching, the light flickering above the rows of soda bottles. He reached out to close it. Inside, wedged between 2 rows of bottled water, was a face. Not a person. A face. Pressed flat against the glass from the inside. Lifeless eyes. Pale skin. Mouth open in a silent scream. Ethan stumbled back. Blinked. Gone. Just bottles. No face. He backed away again, this time toward the front, glancing side to side, expecting movement, expecting anything. He reached the counter and picked up the phone. No dial tone. He slammed it down. Pulled out his phone. No signal. He opened the door to the employee restroom, intending to lock himself in until morning. The overhead light flickered, casting a harsh beam onto the tiled floor. Someone had written on the mirror. In thick, black marker, letters shaky and fast. He comes closer when you notice. Ethan stood frozen, staring at the words. Then, from the hallway behind him, a footstep. Ethan spun around, bat raised, breath caught in his throat. Silence. The hallway was empty. Just the vending machine at the end, humming quietly, casting a dim reflection across the polished floor. The shadows felt longer now, heavier. Like the light was starting to lose the fight. He backed into the restroom and shut the door. No lock. He pressed his back against it anyway, gripping the bat so tightly his knuckles turned white. The mirror stared back at him, smeared with those frantic words. He comes closer when you notice. His thoughts were racing now. Whatever this was, ghost, man, hallucination, it wasn't just watching. It was responding. Reacting. Every time he acknowledged it, it got bolder. Closer. The power in the bathroom flickered, then dimmed until only the emergency bulb above the mirror remained. The air grew colder, like something invisible had slipped into the room with him. He opened the door slowly, stepping back out into the store. The music. There was music playing now. The ancient jukebox in the corner, a dusty relic Gary never turned on, was glowing faintly, casting red light across the floor tiles. It played a slow, warbling version of an old country song. The kind no one listens to anymore. Ethan approached it cautiously. The buttons hadn't been touched. No record inside. And yet it played. The lights above flickered again, then buzzed back to life. The front door chimed. Someone had entered. Ethan turned. A woman stood just inside the station, her long hair damp with rain. Except, it wasn't raining. She wore a hospital gown. Her feet were bare and filthy. Her eyes, wide, red-rimmed, locked onto Ethan's the moment he moved. "Help," she whispered, barely audible. "He's not done yet." Ethan blinked. "Ma'am, are you hurt? Do you need—" She stepped forward suddenly and grabbed his arm with icy fingers. "No," she hissed. "Don't talk about him. Don't look at him. Don't think too loud." He tried to pull away, but she held him tightly, nails digging into his skin. Then she leaned close to his ear. "He used to be a man. Now he's just a place." And with that, she collapsed. Ethan caught her just before she hit the floor, but when he looked back at the front door, it was wide open. And pump 4 was occupied again. The woman lay unconscious on the floor, breathing shallow but steady. Ethan checked her pulse, weak but there. He dragged one of the plastic signs from the mop closet and propped it under the front door, locking it again. Outside, Pump 4 buzzed faintly under the overhead lights. A car was parked there now. Old. Dusty. Covered in grime like it had been pulled from a junkyard. One of the windows was rolled down, and someone, sat in the driver's seat. Unmoving. The camera above the pump flickered again, static cutting in and out like it couldn't decide whether to show the car or not. Every time it cleared, the driver's silhouette appeared just a little closer to the lens. Ethan stepped back from the monitor. The woman on the floor stirred, moaning softly. Then her eyes opened. "No, no, no, he's not supposed to find me here," she whispered. She tried to sit up, panic overtaking her. Ethan knelt beside her, holding her gently by the shoulders. "Who is he? What's going on?" She shook her head fast, eyes darting to the windows. "You let him in. You looked. You gave him space. What is he?" She opened her mouth to answer, and then froze. Her face went pale. Ethan followed her eyes slowly, praying he wouldn't see what she was seeing. But there he was. The man from Pump 4. Standing outside the glass, not moving, not breathing. Just watching. Ethan swallowed hard, stepping in front of her. "Stay down," he said. The man didn't knock. Didn't speak. He just stood there. His face now clearer than ever under the flickering light. Like it had been scrubbed clean of any real features. Just skin. Smooth. Plastic-like. The automatic door trembled slightly, the sensor confused by his presence. Then, bang. The back door slammed open. Ethan spun around. The hallway light went black. Another sound, footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoed from the corridor. He pulled the woman to her feet. She was light, barely standing. He dragged her into the supply room, slammed the door, and shoved a cart against it. Inside, it was pitch black. He reached for his phone, flicked on the flashlight. In the beam of light, on the wall directly in front of them, was a message scrawled in thick black ink. "He was the station before you ever worked here." Ethan stared at the message on the wall. "He was the station before you ever worked here." The words looked old. Not ink paint. Faded at the edges like it had been written years ago, then hastily scrubbed away and forgotten. Except now, it had returned. Reappeared, like the building wanted to remind him. Behind him, the woman sat slumped against a shelf of windshield wipers and antifreeze. She looked even paler now, like the air itself was draining her. Ethan crouched beside her. "Who are you?" Her eyes twitched, barely able to hold focus. "I used to work here," she whispered. He blinked. "What?" She coughed once, sharp and dry. "Before Gary. Before you. Before any of them. We all thought we were the first." Ethan's mind reeled. This place had been here for decades, sure, but this woman didn't look a day over 30. "That's not possible," he said. She shook her head slowly. "Time doesn't run right in here. It stretches, repeats, folds over. It makes you forget. But he never does. He watches all of it." A sudden bang from outside the door. The cart shifted slightly. Something heavy was pressing against it. Ethan stood, flashlight shaking, aiming the beam at the bottom of the door. A shadow moved just beyond the crack. Not walking, gliding. Like someone on the other side was pacing back and forth without sound, just the shape of movement. The woman groaned and grabbed his wrist. "If he sees you see him, really see him, he takes something from you. First your memory. Then your voice. Then..." Another loud thud. The door creaked inward an inch. Then silence. Ethan held his breath. Even the woman had gone still. He looked down. In the silence, he heard something strange. Something subtle. The radio. It was back on. A garbled voice coming from the front desk speaker. Static breaking through between words. "Station, come in, do you copy? This is dispatch. You're not alone." The woman's eyes widened. "Don't answer it." she whispered. It's not them. It's him. He learns your voice. Ethan reached for his walkie anyway, but stopped when he saw it. The power indicator was off. The radio was unplugged. Still, the voice kept talking. Ethan, we're coming for you, just hang on. Then the pitch changed. Slower. Deeper. Hang on. The voice wasn't dispatch anymore. It was his. It was Ethan's voice. Ethan dropped the walkie like it burned. The woman scrambled backward against the wall, her hands over her ears. It's starting, she whispered. He's taking pieces now. The door creaked again, louder this time. The flashlight flickered. Ethan backed toward the shelves, hand brushing over metal tools and boxes of gloves, looking for anything he could use. He grabbed a box cutter. Useless maybe, but it felt better than empty hands. The voice on the radio continued, slow and distorted, like someone was stretching a cassette tape through mud. You looked at him, Ethan, you saw too much. He switched the flashlight to the crack under the door again. No shadow now. Just blackness. Total. Absolute. The kind of dark that didn't feel like absence of light, but presence of something else. The radio hissed and cut out. Then, a whisper. Not through the walkie. In the room. Right behind his ear. You've already been here. Ethan whipped around, slashing with the box cutter. But there was no one. Just shelves. Darkness. The hum of something watching. The woman was crying softly now, curled in the corner. I shouldn't have come back, she murmured. I thought it was over when I left. But it's never over. It just waits. Ethan crouched beside her, his voice low, trying to stay calm. What does it want? She shook her head. No one knows. Maybe just to be seen. Maybe just to be remembered. A sound like grinding gravel echoed from the store, slow, dragging footsteps across tile. He turned off the flashlight. Total black. Then a soft light glowed from beneath the doorframe. Flickering like fire. The door handle rattled. And then it spoke again. Not through the radio this time. Through the walls. Through the building. I am the last shift. The shelves trembled. One of the windshield bottles toppled and shattered against the floor. The air turned cold again, freezing cold. And the voice whispered one more thing, almost kindly, like it was smiling. You've always been working here. Ethan's breath hitched. The voice echoed through every inch of the station, soft but relentless. It felt like the walls themselves were alive, whispering secrets only he could hear. He took a shaky step back, heart pounding so loud it drowned out the humming overhead lights. The woman beside him whimpered, clutching her knees. Ethan, she whispered, voice trembling. The last shift never ends. A sudden gust slammed the back door open with a deafening bang. Papers fluttered, the station's old calendar torn from the wall and spinning in the stale air. Ethan turned toward the chaos, bat raised. The hallway was empty again. Silent. But the sense of watching was heavier, like the building was breathing. He glanced down at the floor. Another receipt lay at his feet. He knelt and picked it up. This one read, Welcome back, Ethan. The words burned on the thin paper. Not threatening. Not angry. But cold. Like the last shift was waiting for him. Waiting to begin. Ethan stared at the receipt, cold sweat running down his back. The station was silent except for the faint hum of the old fluorescent lights flickering overhead. His hands trembled, but he folded the paper carefully and slipped it into his pocket. The woman stirred beside him, slowly sitting up. It's not just the night, she said quietly. It's the place. The station itself traps you. One last shift. One last chance to leave. Ethan swallowed hard. His eyes flicked to the front door. It was closed now. Locked tight. No wind. No rain. No sign anyone had been there. But the feeling of being watched hadn't gone. He moved to the counter, turning on every light he could find. The monitors flickered to life, showing empty pumps, empty aisles, empty night. Yet Ethan knew the station was alive in a way no camera could capture. He turned back to the woman. Are you staying? She looked at him, eyes tired but resolute. I've been here longer than I should have. Maybe it's time I move on. A faint smile crossed her lips. Ethan nodded. He opened the door, the cold night air rushing in. As he stepped outside, the station's lights dimmed for a moment, then glowed steady once more. He glanced back. The station was still watching. Still waiting. The last shift was over. But the station never truly lets you go.